Okay, so in this video we're just going to go over a few things like the display flex we set up here but we never really spoke about. So also there's one more thing I want to do, which is the color is not really that good here. I want to change the background color of this to green, and let's change the text color to white, and that should look a bit better. Also let's do a box shadow on the article here, and we'll use 4 pixels, and then red, and I'll show you what this is in a second. So when we save, the 4 pixels and 4 pixels are for how wide it is on the left, the right and the bottom, and then the color is obviously what color the shadow shows as, and I think this design just looks a bit better. So now let's talk about flex, which we set earlier but we never really spoke about it. We did see what this align items and justify content does, but let's go over the actual flex display now. So in the HTML, let's create a div around the entire article section. So I'm just going to call this div with a class of articles. That's articles with an S here, not article like the article divs. And I'm going to move the closing of this div to the bottom after all of our articles. Okay, so now everything is basically wrapped within this articles div, and now we can start writing some CSS for that. So .articles and then our curly braces, and now let's apply this display flex and see what it does. So we can see here that now it's completely changed our layout. It's made everything go in a row, and this is similar to what we saw when we were working with tables in HTML. So right now this is a row, and if we wanted it to be a column just like we had before, we could do flex dash direction, and we can set that to either row or column. So row is what we have right now, and then column is what we originally had. So that's how you would use display flex. And then obviously you have the centering things here, which I can't really show you here because everything is centered by default. But yeah, another cool thing we could do is we could do gap, and we can set this to like 100 pixels, and if we save, it will put a gap of 100 pixels between each of these divs. Basically what it's doing is it's applying this 100 pixel gap between each item which is inside of this, and there's 3 items inside of this. It's not counting sub items, it's just the main items which are nested inside of this. So there's 3 items here, and it's adding a gap of 100 pixels between each of them. Yeah, that's basically how flex displays work. For centering, well, if I make this full screen, it's already basically centered. But if I were to change the width of this, so let's say I changed the width and we set it to like, what can we set it to? Let's say 500 pixels. Okay, now it's set to 500 pixels. We can align this to the center using justify content center, or actually I think it's align item center. And now it's centered on our page. The way this works is align items centers horizontally, but only when you're using the column display. So if I were to change this to a row display, it would not center the items anymore. Now I'd have to use justify items here instead of align items. Actually it's justify content and then align items, and they basically work opposite ways depending on whether you're using row or column here. But yeah, you guys can always just mess with that and figure out what's the correct way to do it on your design. But I'm not really going to center anything here, so I'm going to get rid of that and get rid of the width as well. And yeah, I think the gap needs to be a bit smaller as well, so I'll set that to like 20 pixels. And yeah, this looks good. So from the next video, we're going to be working with JavaScript. So I hope you guys have gone over all of the HTML and CSS already, because we're not really going to be talking about this much later on. And yeah, there's one more thing I could show you, which is how you do hover effects or other effects like that. But this is just the basics tutorial, so I'm not really going to go into all of that. So yeah guys, make sure you're caught up on everything, and in the next video we're going to go over JavaScript.